What's up everyone, my name is Edward Lee. I'm a freelance videographer and content creator. In today's video, I want to talk about how to get out of a creative block. Now, before we could talk about getting out of a creative block and the steps that I take in order to do so, we first have to talk about what is a creative block. Now, according to Urban Dictionary, a creative block is when you can't find yourself to have a creative thought. This often leads you to smack your head on a pillow until you find a good thought. In my opinion, a creative block is when you feel like there's this natural force or something just kind of like holding you back and you can't push forward and you have no idea why. And that little tension that you feel between you succeeding and you being lazy is what I call the creative block. Even the most successful people that you know have low points of creativity or inspiration or motivation. Now, everyone has their own ways of getting through this difficult time. Sometimes it could last a day, a week, or sometimes even years people go through an unmotivated period. Even me, myself, I've been in a creative block many times before where I know I could be doing more, but for some reason, I'm just not doing anything. And it's really frustrating, honestly, but I have figured out a few practical things that have helped me get out of creative blocks time and time again, and I'm about to share them with you guys. So let's get right into it. Step number one is awareness. More specifically, self-awareness. Understanding that you're in a creative block is one of the most important steps of this process, because a lot of times people will fall on excuses or say, I'm just not a motivated person, or I don't have goals, I'm not ambitious. And really though, you might just be in a creative block. But in order to get out of it, you need to understand that you're in one first and admit to yourself that you know you could do better, but there's something holding you back. Step number two, consume content. You have to consume the proper content though. And a lot of times when people are feeling uninspired or unmotivated, they'll go on Instagram, social media, like YouTube, and all those places do have good value, but most of the time, they're very saturated, polished lifestyles that you're consuming. And I don't know about for you, but for me, when I watch other people like just crushing it, making epic videos, traveling around the world, or crushing their goals, it's inspirational, but sometimes it actually brings me down because I compare myself to this person and I feel like I'm not doing anything, on top of the fact that I know that I'm in a creative block. And so it actually sometimes just makes it worse. So what type of content should you consume though when you're in a creative block? I like to consume content that's long form and raw. And so a lot of times when I'm feeling uninspired or I feel like I'm in a creative block, I'll watch keynotes, TED Talks, and a big one that I've been doing this past year that really helped me was podcasts. A lot of times in these podcasts, these individuals will talk about the struggles that they faced, what they do, best practices, and it's just really practical. And you don't really get that practical advice when you're watching, when you're scrolling through someone's Instagram feed that's fully curated, or you're on someone's YouTube channel with a bunch of, short form 3 to 4 minute videos that are perfectly polished to cut out every single error that happened while filming that video. Podcast, raw, uncut, deep dive into the minds of individuals who might be going through the same thing as you and I. One podcast that I listened to and watched that has really helped me break out of many creative blocks is actually Matt D'Avella's The Ground Up Show. If you guys don't know about it, definitely check it out. It's insanely good. He talks with entrepreneurs, creatives, freelancers, and they all talk about the struggles they faced and how they are where they are today. Step number three is goal setting. First things first, when it comes to goal setting, if you don't have a whiteboard, after this video, go to like Office Depot or somewhere, like a department store, and get yourself a whiteboard. It is absolutely a game changer. For me, I know for some of you guys probably put your goals on like your notes app on your phone, or you'll just write it down on a piece of paper and like have it on your desk or hang it somewhere, which if that works for you, that's totally fine. But personally for me, I've never been able to really like set goals into like an electronic device because I always forget about it. There's just so much stuff that I do on my phone, and there's so much stuff that's already on there that it just kind of gets lost. But when I got the whiteboard a couple years back and I started using it, absolutely a game changer, because nothing else goes on it besides your goals and your action plans. It's always there when you wake up, and it's always there in your room, and it's just a constant reminder of where you need to go and what you need to be doing. And on top of that, when you're writing it on just like a big whiteboard, I don't know, something about that just sticks. I usually have a goal and then a sub list of tiny actions that I'm going to hold myself accountable to in order to achieve the said goal. So usually when people are setting goals, they'll usually write them down in like a list, like a bulleted list. And usually they're pretty vague and they kind of just refer to it throughout many times of the year. I used to do that too, but then for some reason at the end of the year, I would notice a lot of my goals weren't getting accomplished and I was wondering why. So now what I do is actually I set the goal, and below the goal, I'll write the necessary steps that it's gonna take to achieve said goal. Now let's go through an example. For me, one of my goals for 2019 is actually to hit 25,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Now, in the past, I would just write that goal and then at the end of the year, I'd be like, oh, well, I hit it or I didn't hit it. But this time around, it's different. I set a goal and I've actually made subtasks that I need to do in order to reach 25,000 subscribers. That way, I'm kind of setting micro goals so that, let's say it's halfway throughout the year, I'm not even close to my goal. I look at my micro goal list and I ask myself, did I get stuff on this done in order to achieve the bigger picture at hand? And so when you do this, it basically forces your mind to give you credit for the small things and the small wins. For me, when it comes to hitting 25,000 subscribers on this channel, are things like posting consistently, posting quality content. So to recap, goal setting, you have to set obviously your goals list, but then tiny actionables within that goals list so that you know exactly what you should be doing and how you should be doing it. Now, another important reason why goal setting is so important, it's not so much for when you're in the creative block, but it's more so for when you get out of it and you're about to get into another one. When you have goals, you have direction, you have vision, it's much harder to fall back into another creative block because you have an action plan of what you know you should be doing and what results to expect. So that's another reason why goal setting is so important. Now, the fourth and final step in this process of getting out of creative block is actually setting proper expectations. Now, a lot of times I'm hard on myself, I'm a perfectionist, and I want everything to look good and edit good and just be the best possible version of itself. But the thing is, something that you have to realize is what you think is your best now should not be your best in a year from now. So it doesn't even matter whether you're gonna try to perfect what you have now, because it's probably gonna be far different and usually far better in just even a couple months or a year. But I've seen a lot of creatives not post awesome work because they didn't think it was their best possible piece or it wasn't perfected the way they wanted to. So it just never even made it out to the public. So I usually adopt the mindset that perfect obviously is better than good, but good is way better than nothing. When you don't post anything, the chances of you ever growing or people seeing your growth is zero. And to be honest, people love success stories. People love seeing individuals grow into becoming better version of themselves. So it's okay to post stuff that's not polished. It's okay to post stuff that's not perfected, because the thing is, when you actually get to a point where you feel like, I did a really good job, you can look at your full growth, your full spectrum of what it took to get there. If you're always trying to post your perfected piece or something you're super proud of, you will always be disappointed, because there are gonna be people out there giving you more pressure to succeed, more pressure to be better, and you're always gonna critique your own work in the way that you really shouldn't. As you keep growing as a creative, if you keep shying away from posting your content or documenting your life or whatever your challenge may be creatively speaking, it's gonna dig you deeper and deeper into this creative block, because you're gonna feel like you're not good enough, like you're not worth people's time. But the thing is, even if nobody's watching, do it for yourself. Post that thing. First make it good, and then as you get good, then you can start perfecting things as you go. Okay, that was kind of a lot of content. Hopefully you guys followed along and you understood everything that I was saying. Now, to recap, my 4-step process in order to get out of a creative block is: number 1, awareness. Understand that you're in a creative block and make sure you're not making any excuses for yourself, and let yourself know that it's okay to feel unmotivated, uninspired, because if you don't understand that first, you can't get out of it if you don't know that you're in something. Number 2, consume content, but consume the right content. Don't consume content that's going to demotivate you or make you feel worse about the situation that you're in. Consume content that's practical and that's going to give you less pressure to succeed. The third step is goal setting. And don't just write down a bunch of goals on your phone and forget about it. Make sure you put it somewhere that's really going to impact you every single day. It's going to stick in your mind, and make sure you're not just setting any type of goals, but macro and micro goals. And step number 4, like we talked about, is setting the proper expectations for yourself. Understand that perfect is obviously better than good, but good is way better than nothing. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, especially if you're in a creative block right now, or if it's something that you constantly battle with. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I promise you won't regret it. And I'm kind of curious, if there's other things that you guys do in order to get out of this creative block, leave a comment down below. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.